good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm glad you're here watching this interview with Nakia Woodson, famous realtor in Las Vegas. 20 years experience in all things real estate, property management, property preservation. She's a true entrepreneur, making it happen, single mom, raising her kids, and really proud to be a friend of hers for many, many years. And but now we're talking about today her success. This journey has been in progress for about 5 years, but it's patience and it's persistence that
Right.
is the key. No matter what your background, whether you have little experience or a lot of experience in real estate, one of the things is what's your belief. And I've been talking to Nakia, and she said that she believes there's no way to lose with money, with real estate. There's no way to lose in real estate. So that belief, I think, is what, kind of is a belief that we share. And that's probably a great common bond. But I invited Nakia to take a class with me in 2018 or 19. And I said, would you be interested in taking um, a tax lien class with me? I had created this group called Tax Lien Mastermind, and Nakia is one of the founding members of the mastermind. So today we're going to talk about her journey and how she won in real estate as a investor in tax liens. And so if you can do it, Nakia, I do it, anyone listening to this can do the same thing. But I want to hear your story. So tell me, from the time we first talked about taking the class, what did you think going into that? Just like, are tax liens for me? What do you think?
Being a realtor for 20 years, I've always seen the value as a realtor. So, for those of you who don't have a real estate background, I understand there may be some apprehension or lack of knowledge, or you just don't know. But for me, it was kind of like a no brainer. I would always see those Bob Diamond commercial things, but I never signed up for them. So, anytime I think of tax sales, I think of him. And I knew what tax sales were, I understood them, but I didn't know how to get access to them. So when
Mm,
Cynthia for me to take the class, I'm like, sure, why not? Now I can learn. Now I can know what to do and do what some of the other people are doing. Initially, we started off small. We bought parcels of land in Arizona. Most of mine got rid. Okay. So for those of you who don't know what that means, you purchase the tax sale or the tax lien, and then the person has so many months or years to redeem, depending upon the jurisdiction, and that means they can buy it back. So I think Arizona, I want to say, I stand to be corrected, but 6 months maybe. Like for
3 years. They have 3 years to redeem.
so Arizona, they have 3 years. So if you buy a tax sale in Arizona, it's not truly yours for 3 years. But the
Mhm.
good part of it is you receive all of your money back plus interest. So in that aspect, you're not losing. You get all your money back plus interest. Same thing. I invest in Alabama. Theirs is 3 years. Texas is 6 months. Georgia is 1 year and 1 day. So just when you're investing in these tax sales, one thing you want to check is the redemption period. And redemption period means that the previous owner has that much time to buy the property back from you.
Right, right, exactly. So now let's talk about that was a fun time when we went on the field trip. A group of us drove from Las Vegas to Mojave County, Arizona, and we appeared in the office of the tax collector and announced that we wanted to buy some tax liens. And the lady looked at us like, I've never had six people show up at the same time to buy tax liens, but we had a lot of fun that day, and it was a good learning experience. Um, but the most exciting news was when you bought the property in Birmingham. So let's talk about the Birmingham. How much did that investment take, and how hard was it for you to make that investment?
For me at the time, thank goodness I had a chunk of money. And everybody, just keep in mind, you don't have to start this large. Literally, since this time, I've bought tax sales for $400, $500, 1,000, 1,500. So it doesn't have to be this big. So at that time, the value was ranging on the low end 60 to the high end 70. So to me, that's a no brainer. If you ask me right now, Nakia, give me $7,500,
Okay. Right.
$60,000. To me, that's just common sense. So
Right.
if I wanted to, what I could have done, but I didn't, because I'm one of those, I like to hold property. That's just my personal preference. But for you guys out there who just want to quick get in, get out, you can turn around and resell it. So what I could have done when I paid him the 7,500, I could have grabbed a realtor or for sale by owner. But again, realtors, it's just more helpful. It goes a little bit faster. I could have gotten a realtor and said, hey, look, I want to sell this for 60 or 50 or even 40. So at how I looked at it is there was no way for me to lose. But me, I opted to keep the property. So just
Right.
you wanted a quick sale as is, I could have sold it for just say 50. And then right there, I instantly gained $42,000.
Mm-hmm.
How I looked at it. So I was okay with the $7,500 price. Now from there, of course, there's steps. So I don't want to make it like it was easy. The particular house that I bought, and I knew this going in. But
Yep.
again, I have a real estate background. So I wasn't looking for the quick, easy thing. There were people living in the house. So prior
Yes.
to it, I did pay a licensed realtor to go by, look around, knock on the door, and see if they could get information. And they did. So the realtor had told me it's a good area. You'll be able to rent it out. I will go for it. But he did tell me there's people living there. And he did tell me they're hoarders. I laughed because they were. People
Oh
let them,
no.
the people let them in. They let them look around because they already knew they had lost it. Because remember, the first gentleman paid 1,500. So they already knew they were out.
Okay. Right.
Alabama, they did have a 3-year right of redemption. So they could have, I believe when I bought it, there was one more year on it, maybe. I don't remember exactly because it's been 5 years ago, but the point is they knew it was an tax thing.
Yeah.
So they let him come in and look around.
Well,
And so,
I remember, I'll just interject because I do recall. So at the time you were taking over, it was at the very end. They
uh,
had like literally 2 months to redeem the property, or that the whole option to redeem would be foreclosed for good. And
right,
they were clear they had no intention of redeeming the property. They absolutely refused to pay the taxes, which was bonkers, but they knew what they were in for. They were going to have to move, and their only intention was to stay there as long as they could and not pay anything at all.
right.
So
And
that's what happened.
so simple math, you guys, my guess was they were 3 to 4 years past due on their taxes because in 2019, the taxes were only 400 per year, and that first person paid 1,500. So just doing simple math, I would guess it would be 3 years they were behind
Yeah.
1,200.
Mm-hmm.
100 was penalties, late fees, and all that. So
Right.
these 3 years behind on their taxes, and to this day, it just boggles my mind how somebody would lose a property over taxes that are
Right.
400.
Yeah.
Because I feel for the people, but I'm thinking once you leave this house, you have to live somewhere. So
Yeah.
unless it's a free house, like how much is your rent going to cost you? And
Yeah.
this was a 3-1, meaning a 3 bedroom, 1 bath, and going rent at that time was approximately $1,000 for a bedroom, 1 bath in Alabama. So unless they were moving to a 1 bedroom or something, but still, I don't know anywhere you can live, especially Alabama, for $400 per year. So I
Right.
did why they didn't try to keep it, but as I mentioned to Cynthia, their trash became my treasure. So
Yes.
a little bit more steps after that, because remember, you guys, I opted to buy one that had people in it. So
Yeah.
just buy one that has people. Either you're going to have to do cash for keys, or you're going to have to do an eviction. And I was prepared for that. I'm just like, fine. How I'm looking at it, again, I paid 7,500. I'll just round that to 10 for even numbers. I already 50,000 in equity, so I'm like, there's no way to lose here. So
Mm-hmm.
to do with them, I did do cash for keys, and they were given $4,000 to move out. From there was a gentleman, he was like a handyman person. He charged me, I want to say 3,000 to clean the house up and get it rent ready. So that brought me to what, 14.5.
Yeah.
Then I did hire an attorney to do paperwork, which we'll get to that later. He didn't do it correctly. So let's
Mm,
just say I was about 15,000. From there, I did find a tenant, and the tenant rented it out for 900 a month.
okay.
That went well. So I look at it like this. You could say it took me a year to recoup my money.
Mm-hmm.
But 900 times 10 is 9,000 plus two more is 18. So you figure on an annual basis, I was making 11,800 in rent. So I would say maybe a year and a half it took me to get my money back. If you look
Yeah.
at it like, and
Right. Right. But so you did. So right now you're square. So at this point in time, like 21, you're squared on what you invested. So
correct,
you're made whole. And now from that point on,
it's
it's
profit.
it's pure profit, 100%. You got your money back invested, and now whatever happens, even if you don't rent it out, you have the equity, the appreciation, although it's not rapid like Los Angeles, there's still
Right,
some growth each year. So
right,
you're 100% profitable at this point.
right. And then so after the tenant went well for like 2 years. Now, since that time, I have gone online to GovEase and I've bought other tax sales. Like right now, I have two houses that need to be rehabbed and a parcel of land. But I finally did sell it this year. The value was 120. It did
Mm,
need work. So, for example, it did need flooring. I will say that. So to have the house in perfect condition, I could have done the flooring, but I opted not to because I felt like let the buyer pick their flooring. I could go
right.
ahead and pay, but it may not be something the buyer likes. So I just figure it's easier just give them a floor allowance and just sell it. So I knew that I wanted to walk away with 100,000. That's what I told the realtor. So we listed it at 120. And that's another just like negotiation tactic that you guys may or may not know. I'm a firm believer whoever says the first number loses. That's just my belief. And I always, if since I knew I wanted 100, then I put it at 120
Yeah.
because I felt like whomever bought it, they were either going to go down to 110 or 100, and then I'd be where I wanted to be anyway. Because
Yeah.
that's goes. The seller wants to go up, and then the buyer wants to go down.
Sure.
You start at 120, you'll definitely get 100 because in the buyer's mind, and actually it is true because the value was 120, they're getting a $20,000 discount, so to speak. And so I just listed it at 120 as is. The buyer came, he did offer 100, and then he said he would take it as is. And so that included the flooring allowance and anything he would have had to update.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So now you have a tremendous experience that is example for anyone.
Right,
Even with realtor or not, the same steps could be taken by anyone. I just want to really make it crystal clear that any lady, any man with the motivation, the drive, the desire for more in their life can
right,
do the same thing. And it takes a small amount of money. If you have $1,000, you could
correct.
be a homeowner. You don't have to move in the house, but you could
Right,
change your financial status, your tax status, strategies, and just in tax savings to buy a
right,
home like this. And don't rehab it, just sell it to a contractor and let them do the rest. You
right,
could take that $1,000 and turn it into $10,000 minimum,
right,
walk away with that. So
right.
I just want you to see me and I want you to see Nakia. We're talking. This is not AI. This is not AI. Okay. This is for real. There's no reason, there's no excuse. You can't blame the economy. You can't blame the president. You can't blame your neighbor. You have to look in the mirror at yourself and say, what am I doing to better my situation? What am I doing to better my family situation? Nakia has taken some information. We can read a book, we can watch videos all day, but one of the things I set out to do with Tax Lien Mastermind was to do it together. We
Right.
went together to buy things. Nakia could call me anytime and ask me, hey, this is going on at this stage. What do I do? Or this is the approach I'm going to take to it. Just wanted to get your opinion.
Right.
What are some other options that you might? So we brainstorm. That's the whole thing about mastermind. You're not alone when you're going through these steps. And even though she has real estate knowledge and experience and management and so many things, it definitely helps. And it probably minimized her fear in going through these. But when you do this together with people that share your interests, it's a no-brainer
Right.
because you are not alone. Nakia is on her second, third, fourth property. That could be you. Right now, if you decide to take action and stop wishing and shoulding and say, this is already done. This is a no-brainer. This is the next step for me. Most investments in real estate take a lot more when you're going to buy a home traditionally with mortgage, checking the credit and all these things. This had nothing to do with your credit history. This had nothing to do with how much money you saved in the bank. It had nothing to do with your DTI, debt to
Right.
income ratio. Nothing at all. 4 homes, 1, 2, 3. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Is there excuse? Can you think of excuse not to do this, Nakia?
Well, the reason I jumped into it because again, for that price point, like again, we explained it before, but just quickly, 7,500, it's worth 60. To me, that's a no-brainer. There was no way to lose.
Yeah.
Even if, hey, I'm selling this house for 7,500, running away, I got my money. I'm not gonna lose. A house worth 60,000, anybody would have snatched it from me for 30, 40. I literally could, like I said, could have put it on the market as is for whatever price under 60, someone would have grabbed it. I opted to keep it to build the equity. So just keeping it from 2019 to 2024, and like you said, no, it's not California, but it's still equity. It went from 60,000 to 120. So it's
Well,
just
also think about this. If you had that same 7,500, $10,000 sitting in Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, would it be worth 5 years later, 60 to $100,000 in interest
absolutely
appreciation? No. So bottom line, you have to invest in real estate to create, like you still kept working your job. It's not like you quit your job to watch this property. You're
right,
still doing your thing, still being the mom, being the realtor, all of those things. And at the same time, this property grew from 60,000 to 100,000, $40,000 in 4 to 5 years.
right.
Okay, so I think that
Well,
says it
it doubled in 5 years. So from 60 to 120.
all.
And then
That's right, 120. Yeah, yeah.
now what I'm planning to do, my plan with these are this is my retirement plan. I honestly plan to buy as many of these properties as I literally can. And then in my senior years, I plan to survive from the rent. And then obviously when I pass, then my kids will have it and then they can survive from the rent and on and on and on. So it's a retirement plan for me. And then it's building generational wealth for my kids. Because I mean, at this rate of $700 a house, it's unlimited. I mean, I could buy 100 houses. Now, obviously, instead,
I know over time, right?
look at it.
Yep.
I'm 7,500. I sold it for 100. So with all of that money, if I were to take all of that and reinvest it in the tax sales, how many properties would I end up with?
Exactly. Exactly. So the formula from the very beginning, I've always said, do A, B, C, D, and
Right,
this is what will happen. And so
right,
Nakia is a walking, breathing, living example of what's possible. And
right,
when you use a formula, it works, it works, it works. So a small investment created money that you never have to put your own money in again. And you're growing that passive income because there were some phone calls you made
right,
along the way, multiple phone calls, but you never got on a plane. You never had
right.
to sit there and do any of these things. So it's possible. If you're at all interested in what we're talking about, if you want to change your life, then you can direct message me or comment below. But this is a real true story, and could be a story that you could tell to your kids and your grandkids one day. But it's going to take one thing first. You have to take action to change your life. You have to change to start the change. So I really want to thank you, Nakia, so much for sharing your story. And I want to thank you for being brave enough to take that first step to walk into the unknown, leave
Right.
your comfort zone and go into the investing. And it's opened up a whole new world. And so, and I want to thank you for taking the time today to share this story as well, because it's a phenomenal story. Everyone needs to hear it. I just hope that, it will inspire at least one
Right.
person, male or female, to take their life to a new level like you are,
Right.
like you
Right.
have done.
Right.